darating na panahon. Now, Mr. President, ang siyempre kailangan nating mangyari ngayon ay tignan natin yung batas. At isa sa mga nakita ko, Mr. President, na I hope, pagbibigyan ako ni Senator Cayetano, ang mga doktor natin, mga nurse, pagod na. Gabi-gabi yan, araw-araw na andun. Meron ng suggestion si Senator Tolentino na gusto natin at lahat tayo sumasang-ayon na yung mga mangunguha ng board exam na 4 years, meron na rin batas na nandito na sila, mangunguha ng board, 2 examen na lang, payagan na muna natin tulungan ang mga doktor natin sa mga karating po. Yun ang sinabi kanina ni Senator Tolentino. Sumasang-ayon po tayo dyan. Meron rin po tayong suggestion na dapat yung mga doktor na mamamatay mabigyan ng 1 million pesos. Doktor, nurse, or medtech, kung mamatay, mabigyan sila yung kanilang pamilya ng at least panlaban na wala na sila, wala na yung breadwinner, meron sila 1 million na may bibigay sa kanila. Yung mga nurse natin, dapat may mga hazard pay. Yung mga nasa gobyerno natin, may hazard pay. Yung mga mag-check sa mga bahay, kung magbibigay tayo ng pagkain o pera, dapat dyan, merong PPE. May proteksyon pag nag-aabot tayo ng gamit. So lahat yan, kailangan hanapin natin kung paano natin tutulungan para maibsan na hindi na makadagdag pa sa kukuha ng sakit dito sa laban na coronavirus na ito. So Mr. President, marami pa tayong masasabi. Pero ito ang kauna-unahan, natutuhan natin sa pagka may disaster. Kalmahin natin ang tao. Kalma lang. Pag nagpanik ang tao, talagang mauubos ang tindahan. Mauubos ang palengke. Kanya-kanya. Ang challenge ay sa ating mga kababayan, yung tinatawag nating social cohesion. Ngayon tayo dapat sama-sama. Huwag niyo naman bilhin yung sandamakmak na toilet paper. Siguro naman po, dapat 3 lang o kaya gumamit tayo ng tabo. Ginagamit naman natin ng araw pa yan. Huwag naman natin bilhin lahat yung pagkain sa palengke. Dapat inaayos natin para magkakaroon tayo palagi ng gamit. So ang sinasabi ko lang po, Mr. President, pagkakalma ang tao dahil ngayon nakikita nila ang gobyerno gagalaw at yung perang yan aabot sa mga tao, palayo ko makakalma ang tao. Isang importante rito ay ito. Kailangan tanggalin natin ang maskara na nakapasok na coronavirus sa tao. Pag tinanggal niyo, malalaman niyo kung sino may sakit. Pero naka-lockdown tayo. Naglagay tayo ng mga makina. And I'll be selfish here, if I may. Diba, maglalagay kami sa Red Cross, sa EDSA, 3 makina. Kung papasok yan, kailangan hanapan natin ang sistema na pag magpapacheck up by appointment, hindi lalabas basta-basta, let's say, 50 kada oras para ma-check sila, mapapadaan sila sa checkpoint, makakapasok sila doon sa testing area at makakalabas. And in 3 hours, they will know what they have. Meron pa rin tayong mobile test na yung mga nasa kotse, pwede pumara at makuha yan. These are just some of the things that we need to do in the next few days. Above all, the people must learn to protect themselves. Hugas ng kamay. Ilang beses sa isang araw kailangan yan. Kahit na nahugasan nyo na, hugas uli ng kamay. At huwag nang kakapain yung mukha. Katulad yan, hinahawakan ko. We touch our faces 90 times a day. Hindi natin namamalayan. Pero kung di tayo naghuhugas ng kamay, maaari dito sa lectern na ito, maaari yung nagsalita kanina rito, na si Bongo, baka may hawak siyang fomites, napunta rito, hinawakan ko, pati ako magkakaroon. And that is why, dapat nililinis natin palagi yan. Yung mga pinto, yung mga handle. Hindi kita pinagbibintangan po. Nasabi ko lang, we have to be ready to see that. I'm taking this opportunity, Mr. President, para malaman natin ang kalaban. So having said that, Mr. President, we must protect our medical folks. We have to get the people to know kung anong kalaban nila. At kailangan, kung sila ay may nararamdaman, huwag pupunta sa hospital. You have to protect the hospital. Pag nagka-buo-buo dyan, makikita nyo, natatalo ang mga doktor at nurses, nagkakamatay sila. So dapat, bago pumunta ron, meron munang home quarantine. And to this end, the government, again, our government, together with the Philippine Red Cross, has just opened today yung tinatawag natin na call center na yung mga magtatanong po, pwede magtanong, kailangan na ba ako pumunta sa ospital? Ano ba ang kailangan kong gawin? Ako ay tatanungin niya kung galing sila sa China, galing sila sa mga may sakit na area, o kung di naman may fever ka, nahihirapan ko ang huminga, sumasakit na yung throat mo, dapat pumunta ka na dito sa ospital na ito at kailangan sunduin ng gobyerno o ng local government o ng Red Cross yung tao para madala sa dapat dadaling hospital. Para hindi nadadarang ang ating hospital system. And these are just things that everybody can provide solutions to, Mr. President. So, Mr. President, once the people get to know kung anong gagawin nila, then we can now say, lumalaban na tayo. Right now, nakatayo tayo sa bahay. Hindi natin nalalaman kung ano nangyayari sa labas. Ngayon nakikita natin sa television, pero dapat alam natin kung ano gagawin. And once people know what they need to do, once people know what they are regulated na dapat alamin, isa lang yung isang punako doon sa batas na gagawin. Meron tayong nakalagay doon na may punishment, pero hindi pa alam, hindi pa nasasabi daw kung ano ang nire-regulate. Bawal po yan. I submit, bawal po yan. Dami yan, sino po yan nulang po yan sine lege. No penalty without law. So, sinasabi po natin ngayon ay dapat unti-unti natin pag-aralan lahat sa mga sinasabi natin yan para ang tao natin lalakas sa loob, magiging kalma at makakatulong. And above all, hindi tayong pwede tinatawag nila on the dole. Pakita nyo, lahat ng tao ay pakikipaglaban sa ibang bansa. Tayo ba hindi natin kaya? Kaya rin natin yan. So we have to do something about ourselves and nobody can help us except ourselves at the moment. And therefore, lahat ng tao dapat ay talagang gawin itong pagkakataon na ito, mag-usap-usap, o magte-text kayo, huwag na kayo magkalat ng kono ng text. Magtanong kayo, paano ka ba nagkaroon ng negosyong ganyan? Paano ka nagkaroon ng masarap na pagkain na niluluto dyan sa mga mall? Paano ako matututo? Paano ako magiging guide? Pwede ba ako mag-aral ng Hapon o Chinese? Yung mga pagkakataon ganyan, bakasyon lahat ng tao, hindi tayo matatakot kung meron tayong pupuntahan na lugar, Mr. President. And today, Mr. President, once we know that the enemy is no longer hiding, dahil sa mga testing na gagawin natin, may laban na ang gobyerno dito. Like Korea, nilabas nila yung mga may sakit, bumaba. China, ang dami-daming tao dyan, milyon, natatalo na nila. And gano'n rin sa Italy, matututuhan rin nila yan. But tayo dapat, hindi tayo mamatay ng husto, dapat matutuhan na natin kara-karaka yung mga gagawin na ganyan. Isa na lang po sasabihin ko dito. Mag-ingat lang po tayo dito sapagkat ngayon, I do not want to have the Congress na nawala sa atin yung power of appropriation. Right now, pag ginawa natin ito, we're all taking a risk. We're giving it to the office of the President at sa kanyang mga kabinete na yung makukuha ang pera dito, aabot. Pero sila magsasabi kung saan. Kaya sabihin nila, at sila sabi naman nila sa atin, sa isang banda, na yung 18.5 million ang target natin na tao. At itatap up na lang yung mga PPP, yung mga 4Ps. So, pagka ginagawa na natin yan, then may kalma ang tao na nakikita, may karoroonan, may liderato na gaganap sa ating bayan. At unti-unti, lahat yan, hindi na tayo magdududa, provided the people know, itong perang ito kinuha, dito dadalhin, para magagawa natin ang dapat gawin. And it will now be up to the communication system of the government na sinasabi nila itong pera ito, dito na ginagamit, itong scorecard natin, lumalamang na tayo o lumatatalo ba tayo, konting hirap pa, konting sikap pa, para sa ganoon manalo tayo ultimately. Dapat alam ng tao kung bakit tayo nagsasakripisyo. Bakit tayo tinatawag natin nakagulong ngayon sa ating mga bahay. Because it serves a purpose na hindi makapunta yung corona from person to person. But more than that, we have to know sino ang nagtatago sa mga nasa bahay na ngayon ay naka-quarantine na dapat palabasin natin para magamot at para mabawasan na yung mga taong may corona doon sa mga lugar na kanilang pinagtataguan. So ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, I thank you for your patience. We did not have to grumble anything here, Mr. President. But if we work together as a people, at ang liderato natin ay gumagalaw, ako naniniwala, all the time that I've served this country, pag nagsama ang leader at ang tao, tiyak lalabas ang galing ng Pilipino. Tiyak matututong sumunod ang Pilipino, na hindi kailangan takutin. At tiyak alam ng tao kung saan papunta, sasabay sila dyan para mas mabilis ang tulungan ng ating bansa. Yan po ay kaya natin gawin. And so, Mr. President, I end this speech with ika nga natin, an exhortation to the Filipino people. Yes, we can. And yes, we will. Fight we must. Win we must. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Senator
we have to show it to them. Now we are capable, we are worthy to become a leader to them. Na karapat-dapat tayo na maging leader, hindi tayo matatakot. Naalala ko ngayong Mr. President na may mga movie nung unang panahon, pag may war, yung pinaka-leader nila, yung hindi nasa harapan nagkukuman. Sa pinakaunahan nagkukuman. Wala sa likod. Hindi nagtatago, nasa unahan. Nagpuputukan na, pero nasa unahan. Pero iba ngayon, pag leader, kailangan natin ipakita sa taong bayan. Pag nakita tayo ng taong bayan, maniwala sila, o sige, ayan yung leader natin, nandyan sila, nagtatrabaho tayo, magtago tayo rito para sa kapakanan natin. Pero kung magtago rin tayo lahat, sino gagawa ng magresolba ng problema? Sino maggagawa ng problema, magresolba ng mga problema, magtugon sa kanilang mga pangangailangan, especially, Mr. President, yung mga mahirap na tao, naramdaman ko yung, I will say it again, naramdaman ko yung mga pakiramdam nila, Mr. President, yung magutom. Yan ang pinaka-worried ko talaga, Mr. President, kasi sinabi ko nga doon sa group chat natin na iba ang pag nagutom. Lahat gagawin ng tao pag siya nagutom. Lahat gagawin niya kung anong paraan basta makakain lang siya. Kaya yun dapat yan ang ingatan din natin. Kaya nagpasalamat ako for this special session, Mr. President, to support the advocacy of the President na makapag arrange ng isang pundo para matulungan ng ating mga kabayan na nagugutom. Marami na rin akong na-receive, Mr. President, na mga complain na wag lang daw po yung pera. Marami pong libo yung text na na-receive ko sa cellphone ko na wag lang po yung pera, pagkain lang po ang kailangan namin. So yun po ang hinaing nila. Iba't ibang lugar, hindi lang ito isang lugar, kundi dito sa Metro Manila napakarami, iba't ibang lugar, may mga probinsya. Sabi ko, Kasi pinamigay ko sa yung number ko, yung calling card ko, kaya nalaman lang yung number ko. So, ang dami nagtitig sa akin, Mr. President. Kaya ito yung concern ko, and I'm so happy dahil nandito tayo ngayon, ma-approve na itong panukalang yung batas na talagang dumaan sa pagsasala, Mr. President. Talagang daming mga amendments bago ito mapasa ngayong araw na to. Pero pasalamat pa rin ako dahil para ito sa mga tao. And I just want to remind lahat ng mga implementors, lahat ng mga mag-implement nito. Sana po isipin palagi natin na may Panginoon nakatingin sa atin. Itulong talaga natin kung maaari nga sana kung magkulang pa yung pera, mag-initial lang tayo sa sarili natin bulsa. Mag-initial lang tayo sa sarili natin bulsa para makatulong tayo sa kapwa natin. Yun po ang kailangan mga tao nagugutom. Hindi po sila deserving na magutuman, lalong-lalo na dito sa bansa po natin. Our enemy is invisible, but we are fighting this pandemic together. Kaya dapat lamang na tayo ay magkaisa, Mr. President. Let us flatten the curve. Sumunod tayo mga kababayan ko, sumunod tayo sa pinapatupad ng mga public safety measures ng ating pamahalaan para hindi na madagdagan pa yung problema ng ating gobyerno. Habang kami ay kumikilos, meron kaming pakiusap sa inyong lahat. Yan po ang pakiusap namin na wag po tayong pasaway. Kung wala naman kayong kailangan gawin para, importanteng kailangan gawin para lumabas, wag na po kayong lumabas ng bahay para po ma-resolve kaagad itong problema na to. And hayaan po natin yung ibang tao na nasa labas dahil ginagampanan nila yung duty nila, ginagampanan nila yung trabaho nila, intindihin po natin. Kasi may narinig kasi ako ng mga tao, bakit maraming tao may lumalabas yan labas din kami. Hindi po, sila po ay may tungkulin na kailangan lang gampanan para malutas po ang problema ng ating bayan. Kaya, pasensya na po kayo at ako'y nanawagan din sa inyong lahat. Nararamdaman ko, mga kababayan ko, yung gutom ninyo, ang paghihirap ninyo. Pero sandali na lang ito because God is good. He will bless us. So, tulungan natin ang gobyerno, makipag-cooperate tayo sa lahat ng mga pinapatupad na mga panukala. And let us keep praying. Let us trusting the Lord. Let us always remember God is with us. Laging ting isipin niya, God is with us. He will never leave us. He will never forsake us. He will cause all things to work together for our good. And thank you, Mr. President. God bless you all.
Thank you. Just to infuse a little levity, because Senator Sabiri and Senator Drilon, Batman and Robin of the Senate, are asking me why I'm calling you Dr. Pacquiao. They're watching on live streaming. So we will just have to inform them that your first patient is the President Pro Tem, Senator Ralph Recto, and you were a doctor earlier in the lounge. No,
Maybe, Mr. President, we will tell them the story when the next section is.
Yes. All right. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I also received a letter from Senator Cynthia Villar, who wishes to be a co-author of this measure.
She is already. We accept that. We have accepted that.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Mr. President, I move that we now open the period of interpellation, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, period of interpellation is open. Senator Tolentino is recognized, and the sponsor, of course, the distinguished lady from Taguig Pateros, Senator Pia Cayetano, is recognized.
Hawakan mo to.
Ready, Mr. President?
Mr. President, if the good sponsor would yield to just two friendly questions, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. President, anytime.
Mr. President, a brief manifestation. I heard from the previous speaker, the good gentleman from Zambales, that there might be some constitutional issues that can be raised relative to the abandonment of the power of the purse of Congress. Mr. President, this representation would like to manifest that what we are passing, this measure, is within the bounds of the Philippine Constitution as an emergency measure, and beyond the peradventure of doubt, Mr. President, I think this would represent what a living constitution should be. A constitution that conforms to the needs of society, and this vital piece of legislation is conforming to that needs of society. Mr. President, my two questions to the good sponsor. Browsing the proposed bill, Mr. President, I am of the impression that several existing mandates of various agencies, specifically the DSWD and the Department of Education, were left out. Is it the purpose of the good sponsor to have this not part of the legislation, the proposed bill, the proposed law, because it is assumed that DSWD and the Department of Education would implement those mandates? Am I correct in that impression, Mr. President?
His Honor is very correct, and just for the record, the reason why there is a list of those departments is because those were, how would I put it? In lieu of individual amendments made by our colleagues, they submitted it ahead of time based on, I would suppose, the areas of specializations they have. So there are submissions on Department of Labor, there are submissions on other departments. And I think everyone just assumed, like His Honor correctly pointed out, that DSWD is taking the lead role here. As far as DepEd is concerned, I do happen to be aware that they have a feeding program, which is also a concern of His Honor, and I would be very happy to accept an amendment or make an amendment that would specify that, because there are a couple of us in the Senate, including Senator Grace Poe, I think Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, also as chairman of the Committee on Education, who are aware of these ongoing feeding programs and how it could continue to benefit, in fact, would be detriment to the health of the children if it is not continued.
Mr. President, to be specific, I cite the Child and Youth Welfare Code. Ngayon po, naka-lockdown tayo, marami po yung mga bata nasa bahay lang. Sarado po yung eskwelahan, at yung mga bata po, lalong-lalo na, yung mga edad na 3 years old to 5 years old, ay nasa bahay lang. Ito po yung mga daycare students na mga LGUs. Ang nakita ko po dito sa panukalang batas, tahimik po siya, silent on the matter as to the supplemental feeding program for daycare children. For the record, Mr. President, I believe that for the year 2020, the current fiscal year, the DSWD has a supplementary feeding sub-program totaling 3.49 billion pesos, and for Metro Manila alone, it is 365.79 million pesos for ages 3 to 5. Ito po bang budget na ito na nakalaan na ngayon ay gagamitin pa o ipagpapatuloy o suspendido na ho, Mr. President?
It is, right? That budget is in the budget. So it should be there. Yeah. As far as we know, Mr. President, that is in the budget, and it should be continued.
So we concur with the good sponsor that it is in the budget, but will this emergency measure that we will pass suspend the implementation of this, because the SWD will be loaded with other mandates coming from the proposed law, Mr. President? Hihinto po ba ito?
Mr. President, our understanding is this was budgeted to include the summers. However, obviously, this summer will not be a typical summer for any of us, and therefore they for sure will have logistical obstacles to overcome. I do not know the exact answer. In fact, many of us do not. This is a first time for many of us. But I support the principle behind His Honor's, the point being raised that these children need to be fed, and with the confirmation that there is funding for that, then we can ask the DepEd to work with the local government and whoever else is necessary for the delivery of these nutritional supplements for the children.
Now, Mr. President, I referred to DSWD. Sana po kung...
DSWD, you're talking about the 5 and under.
Yes, Mr. President. Sana po kung maipapasa natin itong batas na ito, ipagpatuloy din ng DSWD sa pakikipagtulungan sa mga LGUs yung pagbibigay ng supplementary feeding program para po sa 3 to 5 years old. Ito po ay bahagi ng kanilang katungkulan at siguro po ay karapat-dapat po silang makatanggap din ng supplementary feeding supplies. My second question, Mr. President, has something to do with DepEd. There is a DepEd school-based feeding program which was likewise stopped because the schools were closed due to this current health emergency crisis. The budget for this year is 4.97 billion, and for Metro Manila, it is 1.48 billion pesos. My question, Mr. President, similar to my previous query relative to DSWD, is this program still being implemented by the Department of Education while we are in a lockdown?
I'm assuming the answer is no. But I do not know if we have a DSWD representative.
DepEd, Mr.
DepEd.
President.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have a DepEd representative, but I can ask them to make some calls. But I do assume that the answer is no, because we've only been locked down for a week. And I believe that in the past 2 weeks, they were scrambling to figure out if they will be continuing schools, if they will have exams. So my guess is they have not come up with a program on how to proceed at this current situation we are confronted with.
Mr. President, my concern arises from the fear that with the closure of schools, this program will be stopped. And there is a need to continue the distribution of fortified meals to undernourished public elementary school children from kindergarten to grade 6. Siguro po kahit sarado na ito, Mr. President, ay dapat maging bahagi na rin ng programa ng LGU na ibigay house to house para po sa mga bata yung pagkain po nila. If I'm not mistaken, Mr. President, that is also the view of the good sponsor.
We will be coordinating this everything that comes out of this period of interpellations with the agency so that they can come up with a plan to ensure that these programs are continued during this period.
Kasi po, Mr. President, pag pinagsama-sama po natin lahat ito, the SWD Supplemental Feeding Program for Daycare Children, ito pong school-based feeding program, ay napakalaking tulong po ito, lalo na po doon sa ating marginalized. And I hope the good sponsor would have some elbow rooms to make this part of her committee amendments.
Yes.
If it can proceed, Mr. President.
We are actually currently drafting the language.
My promise is to have just 2 questions, and I'd like to thank the good sponsor for including my proposal to have the public vessels be part of the measure, considering that under Republic Act 9295, the government can take over passenger vessels, and this is what we need right now, Mr. President. We can have some private shipping vessels be converted into hospital ships, Mr. President. So I thank the good sponsor for including my proposal. And finally, Mr. President, as enunciated by the previous speaker, the gentleman from Zambales, we have a plethora of emergency measures. And I found out, Mr. President, for the record, that there is a Republic Act 2382, which empowers the Secretary of Health to authorize graduates of medical schools to practice their profession even without taking the board exams during crises, calamities, or emergencies. Mr. President, for the record, 1,500 medical students finished the first 2 days, March 8, March 9, of the board exams. They failed to take the March 15, March 16 board exams because the schools were already closed and the Professional Regulatory Commission deemed it wise to align their decision with the lockdown, the enhanced community quarantine policy, so they failed to take the last 2 exams. Mr. President, the good sponsor probably is aware that the Department of Health is calling for more medical volunteers. In other jurisdictions, Italy for instance, 10,000 medical school graduates were deployed as doctors without even completing the board exam. Siguro po, kahit wala po ito dun sa proposed measure, Mr. President, sana po matulungan ako ng good sponsor na maipanukala sa Secretary of Health na ito pong batas na ito ay maipatupad. Kailangan po natin ng karagdagang health personnel and 1,500 new graduates who are right now in Metro Manila, most of them, because they were supposed to take the March 15 and 16 board exams, are well prepared, Mr. President. So I hope the good sponsor can help expedite this request. And part again of my concern a while ago, even if it's not stated in the measure, concerned government agencies, departments should follow their existing mandates. And I thank the good sponsor for listening, and I thank her for her time in answering my questions. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you.
Mr. President. Just for the record, Yusek Domingo is here, and he has heard the concerns raised that, well, the provision of law pointed out by the gentleman from Cavite and Tagaytay, so he is taking note of this provision of law. There's really nothing for us to do because it is in the law, and that is for DOH to take note of.
And to be specific, Mr. President, it is Section 12 of Republic Act 2382, and I quote, with the indulgence of the good sponsor, medical students who have completed the first 4 years of medical course, graduates of medicine, and including registered nurses, who may be given limited and special authorization by the Secretary of Health to render medical services during epidemics or national emergencies, unquote. Maraming salamat po, Mr.
All right,
President.
thank you. If there is no other interpellation, Senator Grace po, but while you're preparing, Senator Subiri would like to apologize. And we do so on his behalf because he cannot be physically be here. As we all know, he was tested for being positive of COVID-19, and protocol dictates that he stay isolated for over 2 weeks. So he says, it pains me that I cannot do my job, but I don't also want to contaminate anyone. So include him as a co-author, and in the proper time, he would like to manifest his third reading vote. He was thanking the Senate for this. That was Senator Mick Subiri. Senator Grace Poe is recognized.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few questions to our good sponsor, if she will yield to a few questions.
I yield, Mr. President.
First, I'd like to thank the good sponsor for accepting most of our amendments. In fact, the ones that are quite critical when it comes to government takeover of certain utilities, which I would like just to ask for the record that that's been clarified. Am I correct, Mr. President?
And I appreciate the question because for the record, the bill filed by the Senate President and the bill that I co-filed with the Senate President never had such a provision. So, for the record, the bill that we filed and the bill that was sponsored as the committee report does not have any takeover provision. Never did and never will.
Thank you for that very clear, actually categorical answer on this. And I'm sure it will allay the fears of many of our, many of the concerned sector in business and also our countrymen. My next question is, we thank the sponsor again for considering our amendment to prioritize medical goods such as test kits, personal protective equipment, and medical equipment. However, I note that what is prioritized here is the allocation and distribution of these goods to COVID-19 hospitals. May I ask if we can prioritize procurement as well? Because procurement was, the word procurement is not part of that particular paragraph, if I'm not mistaken.
Are you referring to Section 3, Section 3, number 4?
I think it's Section 4.
Section 4, okay.
Section 4, 6.
Section 4, 6 is on donations.
Section 4, subsection 6, paragraph A.
Okay. But specifically on donations or 7 na ba yun?
Are we looking at the same copy?
Is that 7A? 7A? I think that's 7A.
I
Okay.
think the distinguished lady from San Juan is
Looking at
pertaining
an
to
old
page
version.
4. Page 4,
Oh, sorry.
line 1 to 4.
Okay, okay.
I
So it's
think-
actually item 7. Under
Yes,
the
7.
procurement law.
Item 7.
Okay. So, under the procurement law of the following as the need arises in the most expeditious manner or exemption from the provisions of the Government Procurement Act. So this is basically referring to procurement. So I think it addresses Her Honor's concern because it specifically refers to procurement.
1 minute suspension, Mr. President.
Session suspended.
This is the
Oo.
village.
Ano yan?
It prioritize the allocation and distribution
Just to check,
of these medical goods. So, but in the yes, ma'am. But in the listing here, it does not prioritize medical goods. So,
Pinabasa mo yung message ni Jelly?
hindi.
Hindi, yung tanong lang, yung tanong mo kanina, on why. Yung parang sinabi ko lang din.
Jenny Ong?
Ito lang. Yung tanong ko about,
Saan sa Viber?
yan, ang dami
Viber?
kasi. Yan.
Mm.
Question natin. Kasi baka tanongin niyo. Kasi ito na yun. Same. What I said.
Just in case, just in case. Hmm?
Hindi, nagiging yung phone. Ano?
So if it's section 6, should we make specific section 6? Kasi nga, if it's general, it might be questioned.
Which one is it?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Section 6.
Yung sa penalties, sinagot ng DO penalties, yung 10 days for